Greetings everybody, merry meet, blessed be. Welcome to video number 1. Today is June 18th, 2026. So this is going to be a series of videos that I'm going to be explaining the whys and how comes I'm manipulating the weather. And so I could write a book on all the whys and how comes. But we're going to be covering some of the more critical reasons. So throughout this video series, video 1 is basically an introduction and what have you stuff to the other following videos. All right. So while my Magickal Endeavors is based around weather magic, it also includes temperature. Now, I've been doing a lot of videos on temperature videos, and while this is not going to be a exact temperature video, there's no way I can avoid the actual subject, because it plays a big part in what have you stuff in regards to the validity and the objective truth of my Magickal Endeavors. All right, so we're going to walk through this whole system of the rhymes and reasons and what have you stuff, why I proceeded and what have you stuff with my Magickal Endeavors. And so starting with the second video on what have you stuff is going to kick off with exactly the rhyme and the reason why situations that sparked a fire in me to actually proceed with manipulating the weather. And so I'll try to keep it down to 10 minutes, but it's going to be strictly hard. But I will be compiling all these videos together and putting them on YouTube, Utah Witch Manipulating the Weather. But each one of these separate videos I'm going to have to place on TikTok and other social media platforms and what have you and stuff in their individual content. But anyway, so you have a better understanding of my rhyme and my reason, the whys and the how comes. I proceeded with my Magickal Endeavors, and the actual proof and objective evidence that you witness, especially here on the West Coast, the Western United States. I mean, you're in it. You're part of it. You know what I mean? It's built up on 11 or 12 Western states that's been affected and what have you stuff. However, my primary target has been Utah. So anyway, join me with my upcoming videos and what have you stuff, with this, and you'll be able to recognize them because they'll all start out pretty much the same. So, for the most part, where it's describing each video, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So, anyway, love you all, blessed be, take care, and I hope you join me. Greetings everybody who out there, merry meeting, blessed be, and welcome to video number 2. Utah Witch Manipulating the Weather, and the reason why. So first of all, I'd like to explain as a disclaimer and stuff that these are all my beliefs and my opinions in regards to the rhyme and reason, the whys and the how comes I pursued with this Magickal Endeavors of manipulating the weather. So I'd like to start off by saying that I've been awake for a long time. Ever since I was a teenager, I've been awake. I've seen how corrupt the system is. It's nothing new. It's increased, yes. It's gotten worse over the years, yes, of my life. But I've been awake for a long time. So the primary reason for my Magickal Endeavors with manipulating the weather was last year. there was a lot of videos and a lot of news broadcasts of how Governor Cox was getting really cozy with the current president. And by the way, today is June 18th, 2026. So anyway, and that was a big red flag. All right. And one reason why is because I have an issue with our current president is because he embraces Project 2025 and Christian nationalism and its Seven Mountain Mandate, which is basically, if you've ever read the Malleus Maleficarum, it's the witch's hammers. It's an actual legal translated documents of how to identify, charge, and persecute or prosecute a person, on heresy against the church, and then the sentence outcome. It talks about the torture methods, all that stuff. And so basically, Project 2025 is a modern day Malleus Maleficarum. All right. And then, and so anyway, now when that book first came out, I was living up in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I went ahead and I purchased that book, and I read all the way through it. And then I was disgusted with it and everything and stuff. I borrowed it to a friend and next door neighbor, and it never came back. And so anyway, I ended up moving, and I actually forgot all about it. It wasn't his fault. I apologize. But anyway, so that was the first red flag. The second red flag was all the money that he was getting from the federal government to build these facilities, retainment camps, excuse me, for the homeless. And the reasoning behind it, and that some of it was a volunteer program, and then the others was a retainment against people's wills, and they'll never be able to leave. And they want you to, I guess. That right there, just because a person's homeless. You know what I'm saying? Wow, that is a big, violation of humanity and equality and human rights. That really put the fire underneath. And that was the major one spark that got me in the process. And so I was, at that point, enough is enough. He's jumping on board with the President of the United States, who is embracing the Project 2025 and Christian nationalism. And here in Utah, regardless of all of their excuses and justifications in objecting to this comment, it's my belief that Utah is just a theocracy, okay? And I'm not the only one, all right? So, so this I take as though the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon churches, is on board with this too as well. The reason why this disturbs me so much and stuff when it comes to them retaining immigrants, incarcerating immigrants, rounding up immigrants, is because, politically wise and what have stuff, we're not going to get into that. You know what I'm saying? I believe everybody should come over legally. I'll leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is when you get past politics, we're all human beings. You know what I mean? And we all have a right to be at least treated with respect, okay? Even if we violate laws, all right? And by the time this was coming around, things were ramping up, and they were already detaining all these immigrants, illegal immigrants. And so, what really, really bothered me about that is the fact that Utah is an undercover sanctuary state. Now, that's just my opinion, all right? But a lot of people will agree with me, okay? It's an undercover sanctuary state, not just city, state. And this state has been built off the sweat, and the backs of immigrants. This state has built so much monetary wealth off the backs of immigrants. And then they turn around and embrace this detainment that's going on. All right. That was number 2. All right. Now, neither one of these is worse than the other. Okay. These are just major reasons why. Okay. And so, anyway, and then we have the AI data centers. All right. But before the AI data centers subject came along, it was the monopolization of the ski resorts here in Utah and Colorado. And the treatment that employees received who was working for these ski resorts. All right. That was number 3. Okay. Then number 4 is, of course, AI. All right. And AI has become a major focus out of all 4, but it's still not. Neither one of them is above the other in regards to intensity and they're all very, very serious. And then the threat of taking our Social Security, and then all these other things and stuff that have come up from the past, the taxes, etc. There's just a lot of things, surveillance and monitoring the public in everything they do. I mean, all our freedoms are just being stripped left and right. And like I said, I could write a book on all the rhymes and the reasons why this is built up to that actual point. So with video number 3, I'm going to be going through and explaining exactly date lines and providing objective evidence, as well as some of it still remains a hypothesis until August gets here, and I'll be going through all of that. So, and that may take 3 and maybe number 4 video to proceed with that. But so you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's not to punish the populace, and that's on a global scale, because this is wrapped up to that. I have modified my magical workings and what have you stuff from just the West Coast to the entire nation to the entire globe. So, and we'll be going through all of that. So, we'll see you on video number 3. Thank you. Greetings, everybody. Merry meet, blessed be you out there. Welcome to video number 3. And this is Utah Witch manipulating the weather. So in the past video on Wagon Stuff, we talked about the rhymes and reasons why, what, build up and put the fire in me to, you know, uh, pursue my uh, manipulating the weather with my magical endeavors. Okay, now we're going to be talking about how it works. Okay. Now, I've shot a lot of videos in the past, won't have any stuff in regards to explaining how magic works, the philosophy of magic and stuff. But we're going to get into how this actually played out to produce the manifestation, the cause and effects. All right. Okay, so now in my past video on what having stuff, I mentioned the number one pet peeve that really put fire in me and what having stuff was Project 2025, Christian nationalism, and their Seven Mountain Mandate. Now, you know, uh, everything that's happened, everything that is happening, everything that will, in the future that's going to be happening, is all stems from Project 2025. It's all part of it. AI, all that stuff. All right, these massive super data centers, etc. All right. Okay, so uh, so I'm going to put down some diagrams and stuff, and I'm going to explain how this worked, how this magical manifestation worked. Okay, so I'll be showing some diagrams as we go along. Okay, here we have a screenshot with two different photos of the Kurdish current. Okay, on the left, it's the gray line that comes up, and you can see how it veers off before it reaches the northern tip of the Japan and disperses out into the Pacific Ocean to the west. On the right side, you can see how it splits off and it goes up into the northern west side of Japan and the east side of Japan that disperses out into this Pacific Ocean. And on the left photo, you can see how it's dispersing the warm water and the warm air out. Okay, the warm water. Okay, so the size of Japan and what have you stuff is about 1,500 miles long, the main island. And then the upper island, if you count that, it's about 1,900 miles. All right. So this next one, it shows the normal jet stream above Japan, and then it shows the jet stream of the phenomena, the strange weather phenomena of last year. Now, they have it wrong, but this is what they come up with. They try to just make it sound logical, but it's just jargon. That is not what happened. There wasn't all these switchbacks and, whiplashes like this that eventually ended up warm on the West Coast. This is what happened. So when I manipulated the Kurdish current, within 2 weeks, it went further, 300 miles, 480 kilometers further north, pushing up against the polar vortex, which is basically your high pressure jet stream. And it pushing against that, it's headed west, so it just keeps pushing that up. And it went straight across over to the United States, which then allowed last year's El Nino to push hot, warm, air and currents up to the western United States, where it formed the heat dome, which hit against the polar vortex, which the high pressure couldn't come down into the western states. And so it pushed its way across, and then once it got past that polar vortex, then it had so much momentum and force, it just pushed itself all the way down through the Mid-East, all the way down to the East Coast, causing severe winters, severe chilling temperatures, all the way down to Florida. Florida got more snow than Salt Lake City, Utah. Okay, so then science, meteorologists and oceanographers weren't communicating together. They were both coming up with just erratic, senseless, explanations for what was going on. They had no idea. This was beyond their expertise. This is something that they'd never seen before in all their careers and in all history records. They've never seen the Cordochio current act like this. All right, behave like this. This is something just totally new and totally out of all of their historical data, behavior. They don't know. So they're just trying to throw in a bunch of hypothetical, modern scientific meteorology jargon to try to pretty much baffle people with bullshit into making it sound logical and believable. All right. But since then, here recently, they've changed their tone. And now they're right in tune with exactly what happened and the way it played out. Now, I'm not going to get into that, but yeah. So, anyhow, so now their theories on this corresponds with exactly how it played out months down the road. Okay. So they're trying to take credit for this and keep everything. They have to have control. All right. But anyway, like I said, we're not going to get into that. All right. Okay. Now, all this stuff. Okay, so after October, the temperatures along the West Coast started leveling out. They weren't dropping any further. They were leveling out between 43 and 53 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, all the way through into November. And then around the middle of December, the temperatures started climbing. And by January 3rd, here in Nephi, Utah, the temperature was, 58 degrees Fahrenheit on January 3rd, 2026. March, Utah experienced 80 and 90 degree temperatures Fahrenheit. May 12th, 94 degree Fahrenheit in Payson, Utah. Now, I've done a lot of weather, videos and stuff like that, temperature videos and stuff like that. We're constantly anywhere from 12 to 15 degrees hotter. Once in a while, maybe only 8, but 12 is a magical number. I already explained that, but this is a temperature video. But it's above normal. It exceeds normal. I mean, we're still breaking records, in regards per day, per week, and stuff like that. Now, here's the thing. Magic is measurable. All right, I've already explained this, and we're going to be getting into this in video number 4. Thank you. All right, greetings, merry meet, blessed be, who out there. Welcome to video number 4, and so um, I'm gonna be providing you some screenshots in time as I posted them as early as the end of October, um, and then we'll go through each one of those screenshots because there was a lot that I didn't disclose at first, and we're going to talk about that. So as you can see with the screenshots from my previous videos, um, you know, I started my Magickal Endeavors. I cast my Magickal Endeavors October 6, 2025, and to manipulate the codicial current um, that is going to cause Utah. That was my primary target. However, it's all the western states um, to experience a 3-year drought, unlike they've ever seen before in history. And then the second screenshot and what have you stuff, I mean, then I posted a video and stuff stating that I'm not going to accept any bribes. I'd rather see the elite lose billions of dollars, you know, and so, and then again, it disclosed the 3-year drought. And so it wasn't until the end of October 30th, is when I posted my very first video disclosing this. And most of my Magickal Endeavors that I've ever done in the past and heavy stuff, I've always kept it in the shadows. So I've never went public with it. This is the first time I've ever been public with any type of any one of my Magickal Endeavors. So, and then in November, some things happened, and that triggered some more fire within me, and I basically manipulated the temperatures to extremely increase, and I posted that by now this is in November. I posted that by August, Salt Lake City would experience temperatures of 112 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, even though I state Salt Lake City, it's going to be the northern valleys of Utah and even within other states. It's just how weather magic works. And so that right there is in November. That August is eight months away. All right. It's really important to understand. So, and then as time went on, I decided to disclose my 3 phases. All right. I only disclosed at first the first phase of the 3-year drought, but there's 3 phases. Phase 2 is an apocalyptic winter, and phase 2 consists of 3 years of apocalyptic winter. Phase 3 is extreme, very aggressive seismographic activity, earthquakes, and volcanic activity. 3 years of that. So there's 3 phases. And then February came around, and towards the end of February, there's some other things that happened that lit up some more fire, and I disclosed that, um, it's no longer just focusing on the western states, primarily Utah. I'm expanding my Magickal Endeavors writing stuff globally. So um, there you have it. Um, Now, the important thing to understand is, even though I presented all this objective evidence, um, it's easy for a lot of people in hacking stuff still to claim it's just a coincidence or whatever, logic manipulation, whatever, And I totally understand that. I don't hold that against anybody. If I was in their shoes, I'd definitely be probably thinking the same thing. But here's the thing. So August is critical because I disclosed that back in November of 2025, that in August, when the sun temperature reaches 112 degrees or more, then, if anybody wants to remain willfully ignorant, despite the facts and objective evidence of my magical endeavors, that's on them. Because I'm not out to really impress anybody. It isn't a show to validate my own selfish ego or whatever. I'm out on a mission. My mission while having stuff is to collapse the monetary system. And I mean, digitally everything. My mission is to collapse the elites' food, so to speak, power and control, and to free the working class from slavery, all right, and to open the doors for true humanity and equality. That's my endeavors, all right. Now, there's ways as a population, not only just within this country, but on a global scale, we could have done this a different way. But, people's too scared. All they do is just complain on social media about the price of groceries, gas, etc. The, our rights being stomped on, civil rights being taken away, and all these things, you know what I mean? Which is true. But nobody has the backbone to step up to the plate. And, I mentioned, in many previous videos about a 72-hour sit down. Just stay home with your family during the weekdays, maybe starting on a Monday. Don't go to work. Don't go buy anything except for medical necessities. Shut down the total grid for 72 hours. It would take anywhere from 75% to 80% of the working class to do this. Totally shut down the grid. We're in control, not them. It's not like a COVID thing. You know what I mean? They were in total control over that. And, so they planned that. But this is our plan, and nobody wants to do it. Nobody has the backbone to step up to the plate. So this has got to happen. It's got to happen now. It's got to happen quick. Now, even though this is a 9-year cycle, broke up in 3 phases, okay, it's happening quick. We're already in a drought. We got 2 more years of this. The winter of 2026 into 2027 is going to be just as bad, if not worse, as what we just experienced from 26 into 20 or 25 into 26. Then we have 27 into 28. All right. Then we start with phase 2. The whole process and focus of this is to break down the infrastructure of the corporate elite and the corrupt government, you know. So anyway, I hope you understand what's going on and what my magical endeavors are. Now, like I said, you know, if you want to stay willfully ignorant, that's fine. But that's exactly what it is. But the reason why I make these videos on my heavy stuff is to give everybody fair warning, you know. Because those who embrace the noumenal world are going to be the ones who are going to make it out of this, you know, and still be standing. Those who embrace the clip-off or the mythos of the archons, the Gnostic mythos for all the New Age people, you know, millennials and generation, you know, Z and stuff. It's all about the archons. It's almost a split peel off from the clip off. But anyway, I'm old school. So anyhow, you're gonna have a tough time. You're gonna have a really, really tough time. And a lot of you are not gonna make it. And the elite and what have you stuff, they're going to go into their bunkers. They can only stay down there for so long. By the time, you know, people are going to, that are thriving and communing together and helping one another, and those who know how to live off the land, plant and harvest crops and hunt, and you know, little secret spots and what have you stuff where water is, and underground springs and different things and stuff up in the mountains that can't be touched by, you know, sources in the valley. They're going to thrive, and they're going to help. They're going to help one another. Those are the ones and what have you stuff who are going to thrive. And those who embrace the clip off and what have you stuff, well, you know, you deserve what's coming to you. You know. So anyway, it's come down to that. We can't do this anymore. You know, our future generation, grandkids, great-grandkids, great-great-great-grandkids, etc. They don't deserve another 2,000 years of this bullshit. It's not going to happen. Blessed be. I call myself a witch because a witch is what I am. I'm in harmony with Mother Earth and her life-preserving plan. As above, so below, I create my spiritual growth. The elements are within me, my knowledge grows and grows. Spiritual life. Don't believe in your devil, don't believe in your hell. I don't conform to your religious politics or your concept of sin as well. The rich keeps getting richer while the poverty grows and grows. Your lies and deceptions of Mother Earth's natural kill. Spirits of life. As above, so below, I create my spiritual growth. The elements are within me, my psychic powers grow. I'm a spiritual warrior of light. Equality is where I stand. I'm in harmony with Mother Earth and her life-preserving plan. Watchtower of the west, hail to the element of earth. Watchtower of the north, hail to the Lord and Lady. Welcome with love and light. I seek your magical wisdom and your love and spiritual insight.